Well, Corsair has come out with a new air cooler, and I figured we'd do a little unboxing, see what we get in it, and maybe install it on a couple of different platforms and different generations to see how easy the installation is. And I'm hearing some really good things about this. Now, this is not going to be a thermo test review. This is a higher end air cooler. So, you know, you're in the $100 range. I think the price point for this one is kind of coinciding. Now, I've seen some reviews on this where they do some thermo testing, and it performs actually pretty well. So you can go ahead and check out that. Just go ahead and YouTube search any of those. That's not what I'm doing, because I would never put this in something like a Core i9 or even an AM5 like a 7950X or anything like that. That's not what I would do for this. It would keep it cool enough for you to do your basic stuff and some light gaming, I believe, or maybe light editing or something like that. But I would never put this in something I'm going to do, you know, some real heavy gaming or content creation. I probably wouldn't do that unless it's just a backup and you're waiting on a, you know, higher end liquid cooler or something like that, or an AIO. Oh, and one of the coolest, and I think one of the neatest things with this that they have addressed is these fans are on rails. So they are adjustable in increments of about 10 millimeter. Now, it seems like they should have more finer adjustments though, because 10 millimeter is not enough, because 10 millimeter is quite a bit. So you may have different RAM heights. So this will allow you to adjust both sides. However, because some motherboards have RAM on both sides of the CPU socket, and that way you can adjust your fan height properly. So that's just another cool feature with this. But anyway, we're gonna get going on this, unbox it, see what we get. So stay right there. So yes, this is by Corsair, and this is what they call the A115 or A115, 115, whatever you want to call it. You can see right there on the box. So yes, this comes with it's a dual tower. It's got two fans, and these are the high performance fans, by the way. So this comes with two AF 140 millimeter elite fans. So that's pretty impressive. This is their higher end fans, which has like the rubber grommets on it, which will keep from, you know, a little bit of noise cancellation and dampening from that, and, you know, any kind of vibrations or whatever. So anyway, you can look at any of the specs online, of course. I'm just gonna shout out just a few that I think are relevant. And of course, this is for sockets. For Intel, you got 1700, 1200, 1156, 1155, 1151, and 1150. This does support. And this supports AM4 and AM5 sockets for your competitor. Yeah, it comes with everything, and hopefully we're going to take a look at this and open it up and see what we get first of all, and then take a couple systems and install it. See how easy the installation is. See what it feels like, you know, to me, because I know that's kind of hard sometimes to grasp. It looks like it's got a really nice black finish on it. So anyway, let's get this thing open. All right, as we open it up here in the top, we get a warranty guide. You get a safety and compliance information. Nobody reads this stuff. You get some styrofoam. And this is kind of what inside or underneath that styrofoam looks like. We get one fan, it looks like two fan, and we get our tower, and the rest is empty. So let's take a look at our fans first off. And the packaging seems pretty simple, doesn't seem over the top. And we gotta be careful, I just kind of pulled on that. Now these are, like I said, these are their higher end fans, which are pretty nice actually. So there's one of them. And of course, this is PWM, so you got your four pin on this. It looks like the length of these aren't that bad. So if you watch one of my other videos, I did a build in the Cooler Master case. It's the Cube 500, and that come with a pre-installed fan. And the fan cable for just the one fan that it had included was only about maybe that long. And this is about double the length of what came and that one. It's just, it was kind of something I'm remembering because I just did that video not too long ago. But this comes with pretty much plenty of cable length. So that's, you're going to get 2 of those. Okay, so this should be our other, oh, it's not our other fan. So our other fan must be in here, is what I'm assuming. This is a fan cable extension, or a fan splitter, not an extension, although it does extend them, but it is a splitter. So this will take both the fans into one cable. Some motherboards only have one fan port or fan header on the motherboard. So I know some only have one, some have 2, which you'll see fan option or fan 1 or CPU fan, and then you'll see CPU fan optional. The optional would be your secondary fan you can plug into. So you could either run them separately if you have that option, or you could go right into here so you have less cables coming into, you know, the view of the front of your motherboard. You can always just use this because those headers can support plenty. They have plenty of amps to support 2 fans without a problem. So other than that, we get in here, we get fan clip. So I don't know if it's just 1 or 4 in here, but what you do is you put the fan clip right on the actual fan, and then the fan will ride on that it'll ride on that rail that I mentioned, and you have your height adjustment for whatever RAM, low profile RAM, or, you know, RAM that's got RGB. So you'll have plenty of space for that. AMD retention, thumb nuts, Intel retention. Kind of curious because I don't see a second fan. Okay, the second fan is in here, so that's good news. I was actually getting a little nervous because I see 1 bracket, but which means the other bracket's probably already pre-installed with the single fan that's already mounted. Now, one thing I have not seen in here, and I just realized, is you do not get any extra thermo paste. So basically your SOL, if you have to reapply it, you have to get your own. It doesn't even come with a gram of it, so it's already pre-applied. That's just something to take note. Here's the unit. It's actually really nice looking. I mean, I know Be Quiet makes a really nice looking one, but for just being just black, that actually really looks really nice. It feels nice. The fin design on this is really exceptionally, it looks really, really nice. Did I say nice before? Because I mean, it looks really nice. That's nice of me to say. So there it is. Oh, look at that. No fingerprints. Oh, a little bit right there. I don't know if you saw that, but it disappears. So we have 6 heat sink pipes that are 6 millimeters each, and that's 6 on this side and 6 on this side. And we have our pre-applied thermo paste right there. We can actually remove this cardboard. And yeah, right in here is our other fan. I'm not sure how this adjusts. Okay. So it looks like right there. See that? Now that was a retention spot. See those, all those spots are retention spots. So when you come up, that's a retention spot. Oh, now it's not. Trying to see where this. Oh, I had the fan wire in here is getting caught. That's why it wasn't working. Hopefully I didn't ruin the fan wire. It looks okay. All right. Whew. That was a close one. All right, so let's test this out again. So we have, there's one position up. There's another position. There's another one. See what I mean? There's no fine tuning. I mean, I guess you could leave it in between, but it may work its way with any kind of vibration. But it's actually a little stiff to move it, which is kind of nice. So you could put it pretty high. And of course, if you want it out, you just take it out. And it sits on those rails. But we only have the 2 screws, so you have to have that center fan out in order to get to those screws. Now, I'll tell you where another company shines well, or maybe there's a couple of them, but how do you get to those screws if you don't have a long enough screwdriver? Now you got to go out and buy one. Now, I know some companies come with a long screwdriver. Hint, hint, this comes with a long enough screwdriver to get into those spots. I'm not even going to mention the name. You probably know, because I just showed you. So every time I bought a cooler, see the long screwdrivers they get? Now these may or may not work. I have other ones if these don't, but look. So in order to get in there, I could use one of these that came with another cooler. So other than that, I would have to come out here and see a regular screwdriver really isn't going to cut it. I can't get down and in there. So that's not going to cut it. You say, okay, well, maybe, and this might work. This is a thicker head. So this doesn't work either. The head on it's too big. It's long enough, but it's too big. So what I need to do is I got these. And specifically, just in case I do need something like this. So that's what we would use, one of these, or one of the ones that came with a different cooler. Now, I may have to take my foot out of my mouth if we discover a magical screwdriver here, but I don't see one. So if we open up this bag, it's kind of weird material. So we got screws in here. These were the clips, right? And these clips go on the other fan. So we got two clips, and then we have our fan screws. It feels like almost like wax paper. I mean, it's probably some sort of a savings for them. Now, one of the fans already has it on here. This is the one that I pulled out, so it already has both of the slides already mounted. And you want these fans going the same direction. So if the clips are on this side and we install it just like this, that means the airflow is going this way. So this would be the rear of the case. And that's the way you want this one to set up too. And you got to pay attention to where your cable is coming out for your power for your fan. So we can mount them the same way if we flip them over, and we can kind of just mirror that one. And let's put it just like this. These also come with a left. You can see the L on there. And it says right. And it also has an up arrow. So if we're flipped over like this, put it on the up. And these are labeled the exact same way. So now we need to take our screwdriver that we get from another kit that you would have to buy to get this screwdriver. I know this is basically a $100 kit, but come on now. Making people go out and buy these. So we just want to get these in there. You can kind of over torque these because these are mounting to just a rubber screw hole. The other thing, these ones are normal, if you will, for any kind of fan screw, but these are a little bit longer because of the threaded port or the rubber portion on these. I've run into that problem before, so you got to be careful. These are not universal. If you grab a shorter one and you try to put these in, they may strip the actual fan or the part that's on the fan. Wanted to kind of get you a different view here, and you can see the directions that we're putting this in. And gotta put it on the screwdriver first. That's not working. Let's put it through here first. Voila. All right, so now we're going to take our fan brackets and reinstall these, and I just kind of want to see how easy these are to install. That wasn't too bad. And you can feel all the retention spots going downwards. And again, this one is going to, now you do have the option of putting it over here. So if you did have RAM that was too tall and your fan was up too high and you just didn't like it, you could, since the airflow is going this way and this fan is pulling air this way, so it's actually pulling through these fins and pushing it through this fin, you could install this on this side, but you'd have to take these brackets off and put them on the other side of this fan so it can continue the airflow. And I'd recommend that if you put in this and you have to move your fan up this high, you're losing a lot of that airflow going over top of it. So anyway, either go look for low profile RAM, or maybe you have a system that isn't too bad. Well, there we go. That's easy. That was wicked easy. Well, I forgot to hit the record button. So what I did is I took off the pre-applied thermo paste here because we don't need it just for mounting this. We do have a motherboard here. This is Intel. The socket is 1700. And I started opening these parts and then realized I wasn't recording. So anyway, we got an Intel bracket that it does come with. And it did say Intel right on it, along with these bags. They always say Intel. It just basically, I think it came out of this one. Yep, Intel backplate. So it just came out of this backplate. It has 4 threaded portions where these do adjust in or out. It's making a liar out of me. There we go. In or out. So these actually move in or out. That's just to accommodate for older motherboards. That's what this is for. It goes on the back, through your 4 holes that you can see right here. And then we have the 2 brackets that it comes with. That's for Intel. Those I've pretty much seen in most packages. And then we also have Intel 1700. And it also came with Intel 50 or 1150X, so the X would be 1151, 1155, and 1150. That's what these would be for. And I don't know which one would be for Intel 1200, to be honest. I don't know. We'll figure that out when it comes to it. So these are our standoffs, which we're going to need also. So right in the back here, you can see, and I believe we need all of these on the out position for 1700. This is just guessing. I'm not working with any documents. And by the way, this doesn't come with any documents. So it comes with a QR code, I thought, somewhere, where you can basically just download the instruction manual. But we're going to do it without one. So we're going to put it in right here. Oh, wait a minute. So sometimes these have, see those notches right there? Sometimes those are for different application, different motherboards. Like the older motherboards would have a couple of screws that it would go in between. So just make sure when you're doing that. Now we should do it on a different board, and hopefully I will demonstrate that. But nevertheless, we're going to do that. So now there's nothing to hold that in on the back except for your hand. So there's no, sometimes they'll come with something that's a little adhesive. It'll stick itself, but I don't see that with this. So now on this one, we have, this is dual-sided. So one's short, one's long. And usually what happens is the short one goes in for this side, and that's what we're going to do. And it's also on that side, it's got like a little washer or a little rubber piece. So that's meant to go up against the actual motherboard if it bottoms out. If you put the motherboard in a case and then you go to put this on, sometimes you'll find you'll have enough room and sometimes you won't. It just depends on the case. So it's a good idea to kind of get in the habit of always doing this outside of the case. All right, so I don't have the correct tool to tighten these all down properly. Now, these going to the motherboard don't have to be really, really tight. Just kind of snug in a little bit more. So I'm just going to take my pliers here, and I'm just going to give them just a little bit of a twist just to help us out. That way I don't have to run down in my garage, and don't do that, okay? I'm just doing it for show and tell. Just so now all of those are in, right? So we have 4 standoffs in. Now these brackets go on before we mount the cooler, because right there, that stud that sticks up, that's what this cooler mounts to, these holes right here. So we can see if we put them on like that, they'll work. But also if we put them on like that, they'll work. So which direction does this go in? Now, I haven't installed one of these in a while. They have 2 different positions. And we can put this back up on here. And these, I do believe, go on just like that. So I installed these wrong. Thought that looked kind of funny. So these actually go down here. So I have those in the center again, so those can go in it. Let me just show you on these. So I can show you up close. You see how these holes are oblong and they have kind of 3 different positions in there. And right now I have them in the center position with the arch going outwards. And then these are our thumb nuts. So we need those. And these are going to go right over top of those. These ones can actually get torqued down pretty good. You can put a little bit more pressure on these. But you're just going to tighten these up. And these can get tightened a lot more than those standoffs, because now you're just tightening to the standoff, not to the motherboard. You can actually crack the motherboard by putting too much torque on those standoffs. Just an FYI. Now we can take our tower and we can put it right over top there. You're going to grab your not included screwdriver that you have to purchase another or a different screwdriver from a store or from somewhere, or you have to buy another kit. Now you want to drive these down so they're pretty equal. So a few turns here, a few turns there, until you bottom out. All of these will require bottoming out. That one's just bottomed out. That one's bottomed out, and that one is bottomed out. Now, what you can do is you can take your other fan here, make sure it's going in the direction that you need, just like that. And we're just going to slip it in here, like so. Now, of course, this is without RAM in it. You'd have to have a very low profile RAM to get anything under there. But what we're going to do is lift this up. Matter of fact, you can even take this one out. We can install some RAM. And this is kind of low profile RAM, but I just kind of wanted to demonstrate with this being in there. And I don't really need both of the RAM kits in there. We just kind of wanted to see where this falls and how high you would have to have this with low profile RAM. So this one, that's touching it right there. And we are sticking up just a little bit. So, and that's with low profile RAM. So I'm not exactly happy with that. This whole tower should have been just a little bit higher to accommodate for that. It works, but now let's put in some higher RAM. Now I've left this PC off specifically for this because this is my only other DDR5 RAM. And that way I can take one of them out and demonstrate. If you put them, I guess like that, you can see the difference in the height of the RAM. So this is significantly taller So let's put this in. I'll put it in the one a little further out just so we can see it a little bit better. We can see, you won't be able to really see that RGB anymore, but that's the height of it that it would be if you were putting in some tall RAM. Now they do make some RAM that falls in between those. I don't know that they really make them any smaller than that. That's pretty much as short as they make it for the low profile. I could be wrong on that, but you can see that this really doesn't work with regular RAM. I mean, you'll get some airflow going across it, more than half. But what I would recommend, if you are going to put in taller RAM right there, forget about putting any kind of a fan on this side. And I mean, I suppose you could put a 120 millimeter. No, you can't. This is 140. So you could just take these brackets off, swap them over to the other side, and let's just pretend we did that. And then basically all you're gonna do is come over here and install that right there. Now you're gonna lose a little bit right there, but you can see that this would work best in a case scenario where you had RAM of both sides, because we're sticking up just because of this thing right here. So it's a nice idea, but I'm not liking it as much as I did when I first started unboxing it, because you have to have low profile RAM, that's for one. And two, even if you switch it over to the other side, you're blocked by this. But I guess if you did put it over here, or if you wanted taller RAM, that's what you're just gonna have to do. Is what it is. All right, well, I have an AMD platform, and this is an AM4 platform. That is, I had to actually hook up a power supply to it. It's been sitting for quite some time, probably about a year. And this cooler would not come off of it. So I had to turn it on, let it warm up a little bit, and then I gave it a little bit of a twist and it came off. But yeah, I had the back plate off of it, and the cooler was just sitting on it for a while. So I had to take care of that first before we can continue. But I figured I'll leave the power supply hooked up to it, and we'll just turn it on and get some visual of the fan spinning or something maybe. But anyway, this is mounted kind of permanently to, I mean, it's semi-permanent. I could take the screws out, but we're gonna try and leave it on this stand, because I really don't use this motherboard other than for some testing. So for AMD, we can actually set aside our Intel brackets, and along with these. So our back plate, our brackets, and our standoffs, we no longer need, because that's all Intel based. Now I do believe we still need the thumb screws, but let's check it out. We got our AMD setup right here. So we got two new brackets, and then we have AMD standoffs. So, and just like the other bracket, see how there's two adjustments, there's two holes. So, which means basically AM4, AM5. That's what I'm thinking. I haven't looked at any of the instructions because, quite frankly, I couldn't even find a QR code on anything in here. So, whatever. We'll just do what we gotta do. Then we take the standoffs, the included standoffs, and you can see you got one threaded portion that's shorter, one that's longer, and also the top one is smaller than the bottom one. So you got, you know, it's just smaller threads. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to take the coarse threads, or the shorter end, and we are going to thread those right in here. And this is going to be loose. So Intel I kind of like a lot better, where the standoffs actually hold the backing plate snug to the actual motherboard itself. These ones are just going to kind of flop around, or the bracket itself is going to flop around. Now that's not, you know, you can see it. That's not a problem necessarily. It's supposed to do that. It's just annoying. So the thumb screws are for both Intel and for AMD. And then we have the included, these ones. Now Intel, remember we had the arch going out. The arch goes in on the D, and I don't know if it's, well, I'm assuming. So it's top and bottom. It looks like it goes in right like that because it can only go in one way. So AM5 is just a little bit bigger, and I think it uses the different holes. That's all I can think of. So again, we're doing this without the instructions. So we had it on that one. Trying to see how this one went. We got it on the top holes. So just like that. Because it actually physically, you can't do the other holes. You have to do those. Now the standoffs that we put on, you would have tightened up just a little bit more, not much. They just need to be snug. But these ones, we can go ahead and tighten up just a little bit more. Again, this is still floppy until we put on that other piece. And it may seem like it's not supposed to do this, but it is. When we put the cooler on the CPU, it's going to be pushing down on the CPU and pulling up on these because you're going to be threading it onto that. So that's why I've dealt with a few of these like this, and it's just the way it is. Now again, I'm not using thermal paste right now, and the board, this might actually get kind of tricky because the back plate wants to push away, and I don't know if I can do this like this. I might have to use kind of some jerry-rig here. I need like another hand. Anybody of you want to help me? This is definitely not the easiest thing I've ever done. There we go. So I'm going to push that up with the back of my hand. Get one of these threads started. All right, it's started. And then push the other one up and get that one started. So now we can alternate between the two. You can see it right there. A few turns each. Right until you bottom out. We are bottomed out there. Now again, no thermal paste on this right now. Really don't care. The CPU that's in here is cheap. The motherboard is actually really cheap. If something were to happen to the CPU, it's not a huge deal, but it's a Ryzen, I think it's a Ryzen 5 5600G. So it has integrated graphics. And again, we're going to put this fan on here, like so. And then, now I do think that this whole thing is actually bent because there's a gap. So I could just bend it out a little bit like that and hopefully not break it. And then we're gonna put this one on. And this has low profile RAM on it. I probably adjust this fan so we did something different with the bracket, because you see the wire is just underneath. So when I put that all the way down, the wire's kind of on top of the RAM, which I don't really like. I don't know if I'd rather it come up there or not. But anyway, that's as far down as you can go. Matter of fact, you'd actually have to keep it like that, one spot up. So aesthetically, it's kind of annoying. And with this motherboard, we only have one fan header on it, or CPU fan header, I should say. We have other fan headers, but this is the splitter that I'm talking about. And what we're going to do is take each fan. We got one connection right there, and then we can take the second fan and put it in right there. Now we're going to take this and go to the motherboard where it says CPU fan, because I only have one. That's installed. Kind of a cringy setup here, but nevertheless, we're going to power this unit on. I don't care about a monitor. We're just looking for the fans to spin. So let's turn that on. I'm going to take the little jumper here, and we are going to jump those pins. I kind of slid off of it. There we go. And if I'm quiet enough, I can't ramp them up right now because I'm not in Windows, so I can't do anything. But They are going a little faster right now. By the way, these go, I think from, I forget what the lowest is, but they go all the way up to 16 or 1700 RPM. All right, so we covered Intel 1700 and we covered AM4. Now, unfortunately, I do not have an AM4 socket to demonstrate on. And to demonstrate this on another Intel, like an 1151 or even a 1200 like this, I could do it, but I think you guys get the point. It mounts the exact same way, just the brackets adjust a little bit differently when you're putting on these guys. That is it. That is the only difference. And the back plate, you'll either push it in for, I believe, 1200, or you'll have out. Maybe 1200 is out also. I could be wrong on that. But either way, you just go until it fits, and that's it. Matter of fact, if it's not on this board, so you'll see right here, you see these two? This is a Intel 1200 socket. So you see how those notches are right there? I'm just demonstrating this. And let's go in with all of them. So this is 1200. Just like that. Those notches are there for the back plate for the CPU socket itself. So that's just a quick demonstration. They have to be in for the 1200 or earlier and out for the 1700. So overall, the aesthetics on it are simple, but they're nice. It's not really fingerprint sensitive. Your fingerprints don't even last on it for very long. If you do see them, you get like a little something there and it kind of disappears. Other than that, it's pretty nice that they have these go up and down. I know you can't really make the cooler too much taller because the heat needs to dissipate through those pipes and into the fins as quick as possible. So I would say, you know, if it could be a little higher, that'd be nicer, but it could be a thermal issue then. Now, this thing does, on some other channels, I've seen it cool pretty good with some higher end CPUs, but I think anything like an Intel 12600K or lower, or 12600 or 12600, like even a 13500, 13600, or a 14500, a 14600, even the K version of that. Now, when you start stepping up into like the 12 or the 13 or the 700K, now you're starting to ask a little bit more for this, and really asking a lot, I think, if you get into the Core i9, like the 14900 or 14900K. I think this is pushing this way too hard. So any of those lower CPUs, I think that this is more than capable of doing. Again, the height on this, I think, is roughly 166 millimeters or 165 millimeters. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Not too bad of a design, but, you know, it's basic. There's not much else to talk about this, but it does function a lot better than their last ones. It does come with 140 millimeter fans versus 120, and it's their kind of their top of the line fan series. So with those rubber mounts and up to a 1700 RPM. But anyway, I'll leave this in the description down below for you to check out if you want. And feel free to leave comments as always, and hit that thumbs up just to show support. Even if you don't like this, that thumbs up helps the channel out, and it helps me determine whether or not to, you know, make videos like this again. So with that said, otherwise, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and, you know, click on that little bell icon to get notified for any future videos that I post. And until next time, guys, take care.